Good evening and welcome to the October 13th regular meeting of the Hillsborough Town Board of Commissioners. The public charge is in the printed agenda and available if you need to read that. We have a long tradition of abiding by that charge. Assume that we will do that tonight. We're going to have a little change in the agenda regarding a presentation. We're going to do that next in the interest of having probably a quarter of our police forces here. And in the interest of time, we need to get them back out doing their jobs, not waiting on our other business. So at this time, I will call Chief Wynn to the front. Kevin, back to the I'm going to read the oath of office for Chief Jason Wynn. So repeat after me. I, Jason Lloyd Wynn,
I, Jason Lloyd Wynn,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of North Carolina,
and the Constitution of North Carolina,
that I will be alert and vigilant to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
that I will be alert and vigilant to enforce the criminal laws of this state,
that I will not be influenced in any matter on account of personal bias or prejudice,
that I will not be influenced in any matter on account of personal bias or prejudice,
that I will faithfully and impartially execute
that I will faithfully and impartially execute
the duties of my office as Chief of Police
the duties of my office as Chief of Police
according to the best of my skills,
according to the best of my skills,
abilities, and judgment.
abilities, and judgment.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd just like to take a second to say thank you for everyone who showed up, all the officers who took time out of their day, people who came in on their time off or stayed late. I just want to thank my family so much, people who traveled or took time out of their day, as well as my partners in law enforcement, sheriff, chiefs, retired chiefs, town manager. You know, I truly appreciate the support. I don't feel like I'd be here today without the support of all of you. Special thanks to my wife. She's always supported me and pushed me and just been there for me to kind of get me through hard times. And I just consider it an honor to be able to work with all of you. Thank you for giving me this honor. I appreciate it. And I just hope to do a good job and serve everyone in this community. So thank you so much.
We'll take a 30-second recess. Right. Great, and moving on to the next item on the agenda is audience comments not related to the printed agenda. And we have 4 people signed up, all regarding a discussion of automated license plate readers. And the first person on the list, IUSH.
Flash. Oh, you know.
L, thank you. Thank you, pardon. So come on up and speak into the microphone so we can all hear.
Cool.
Oh, and you have 3 minutes.
Great. What's up, y'all? I'm Lush. I'm a Hillsborough resident and deeply opposed to the installation of additional surveillance cameras in the community I call home. I have already personally experienced the chilling impact of being surveilled by ineffective and racially biased surveillance technologies in town. One evening while walking around Fairview Park during operational hours, a disembodied voice came from the camera and accused me of trespassing and threatened to arrest me or threaten me with arrest if I failed to leave. I was so thrown and overwhelmed that I feared returning to the park for months, even during the daytime. That type of surveillance technology did nothing to protect or comfort me. It transformed a place I loved into a hostile Big Brother-like arena. ALPRs are just a differently dressed version of the same surveillance tech that has continued to contribute to a more militarized society and neighborhoods in which all those are treated as criminal, suspect, and agitator. The dangers of ALPRs are numerous and include significant privacy violations, opaque data management and sharing protocols, wrongful arrests, and misuse and abuse by cops and neighbors. They also serve to reinforce the false narrative that increased policing and surveillance make communities safer. Despite the town's claim that ALPRs will help them to, quote, solve crimes more efficiently, deter criminal activity, and protect our community, unquote, they fail to provide any evidence to back it up. In fact, there is little empirical evidence that such surveillance leads to any sort of reduction in crime. What has been substantiated is that ALPRs have already been used to detain and violate Black folks, monitor and harass those seeking abortion care, and hunt down immigrants. ALPRs are both a smokescreen and a waste of resources that will pose an ongoing threat to myself, my neighbors, and those just passing through town. No to ALPRs, no to the expansion of the surveillance state, and no to expanded funding to policing in our communities. It's my time.
Next on the list, Heather. On Ash Street. Welcome.
Hey y'all, I recognize a lot of you from YouTube, so thank you for your time here in person today. Okay. My hope is that we, the citizens of Hillsborough, can work with the town council members towards the shared goal of creating safety in our community. And I have many concerns for our community safety with the use of Flock technology. Flock is creating a surveillance database that is searchable by law enforcement without a warrant and requiring only a stated reason for the search, even if that reason isn't legally valid or subject to verification. This mass surveillance is not aligned with our rights under the Fourth Amendment, which protects citizens from unwarranted searches and seizures. This is happening in counties all around the country right now, and it's being fought in all of those counties around the country. We simply cannot trust or predict what government leadership will do with the massive amount of data they strive to collect on us through the use of Flock. We are woefully aware of the ill intent within our current government leaders to repress our rights to move freely on this land, and we are telling you we do not want it. This technology has been used to punish women seeking reproductive care, another area where legality is in flux. This technology has been used by law enforcement to stop women. This technology has been used for persecution of those exercising their First Amendment rights, such as surveillance and subsequent intimidation of protesters. This technology has been used by ICE and the CBP to hunt down undocumented people. This technology was created within a bias system that makes mistakes, often resulting in harm towards people of color. This is not technology that protects me. This is not technology that leads to my safety for my movements and my free speech. We are in one of the most progressive counties in the state of North Carolina. We have a lot of shared values. I am confident that with reflection on this choice to expand the surveillance people are already unconsentfully exposed to, you will choose instead to protect us and not aid and abet our surveillance and inevitable censorship and oppression from a state of untrustworthy leaders. Thank you.
Jesse. Welcome.
All right, what's up, y'all? Okay, so the environmental impacts of AI and the data centers on our planet and the regressive impacts on our brains and ability to connect meaningfully to each other should be enough to sway anyone to resist this technology. But I'd like to focus on the harm caused by its use in communities to entice all of you to join in doing right by your neighbors and future generations and reconsider the use of flock cameras entirely. To quote Garrett Langley, the founder of Flock, "I think we can have crime-free cities and civil liberties. We can have it all." His sentiment is valid and shared by many, but following his lead on how we achieve that reality will be the end of all of us. Instead of addressing the needs of our community members, we are letting tech companies and ill-informed, over-militarized police forces react their way into power over our every movement. In Hillsborough alone, the $81,000 earmarked for this 2-year contract with Flock could be used to provide more access to shelter, food, and dignity for underserved members of our community, rather than making suspects out of everyone who sets foot downtown. Any claims of transparency or self-imposed limitations local law enforcement uses to reassure us of the safety and benefit of these camera systems are useless in the face of the aims of the company that pushes them. Langley again. The consequences of building a product that actually change people's lives is that there will be a lot of people we piss off along the way, because what we're doing actually matters. Don't follow in his delusional line of thinking. What matters for him is profits, and your personal information is his product. The openly stated goal of Flock, a private company, is to create a nationwide database of identifying factors of every citizen, weaving together extensive profiles based on biometric data, photos, videos, public records, searchable by AI, accessible to local and federal agencies to use our movements in the real world and online to predict our behavior and intent, further strengthening the bonds of capital and the state to repress rather than serve citizens. While declarations from the White House branding any thought or behavior against the current regime is terrorism, we are all under the constant risk of this collection of personal information being used against our communities, exercising our First Amendment rights. These camera systems and their accompanying AI search capabilities are already being used by law enforcement and ICE across the country, despite Fourth Amendment rights violations. Errors are being made by tech, resulting in violence done by humans with no accountability to those harmed. Beyond the call for the community to be informed and resist these growing infractions on our privacy and liberty, I want to remind law enforcement and lawmakers that your careers are no safer than any other industry that is rushing to put machine learning tools at the forefront. You are training your replacements, and your current positions of power will offer you no extra protection when it pushes you out of a job and you become just as vulnerable as the rest of us. Thank you.
Last on the list, Ryan.
My watch just told me that I have a very high heart rate, and now it's a loud environment. So I'll probably stumble through this, but I wanted to more address y'all. When I attended Government 101, I heard a lot of great things. I felt somewhat proud to be a Hillsborough resident. I'm always a little bit wary of government. I think probably a lot of people are. But I was like, okay, there's some really great things happening here. When I read the comprehensive sustainability policy, I was like, wow, they have really good values. And then I see something like this and I'm like, did y'all not like read about all of the things that have happened with this? Like Austin kicked them out, Denver kicked them out. There's lawsuits all over the country. They had a cybersecurity breach this year in July, where 5,000 of their records were able to just be taken by anyone. Like, this is our data. It is in a national database that CBP, that ICE have accessed, that all sorts of federal agencies that may have very different views from you and us, that they can access. All these things are happening. And even if this police force is benevolent, every single person on it is great. All that has to happen is one person gets the credentials, or the data that was taken is in another cybersecurity breach. And what? I mean, like, do you not see like the implications of what is being put on here? It's not just a license plate reader. It takes all sorts of information about cars, it puts it in a database, it follows that car all around the country. That's why it's so quick at finding a car. It's a double-edged sword. I work in cybersecurity, I understand always wanting more security. But like, the privacy, the freedom, the safety that you're giving up for this is not worth it. That's all.
Those are the only four people I see signed up to speak. Okay. Thank you. Next, we are on to, agenda changes and approval. I'm aware of, in addition to the reordering of the agenda on the fly here tonight, that we need to add a second closed session, as authorized by the North Carolina General Assembly, to consult with the town attorney in order to preserve attorney-client privilege regarding the Corbinton Commons lawsuit. Are there any other changes?
Move for adoption with the changes.
Second.
You, Matt, thank you, Kathleen, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and, next we are on to items for the consent agenda.
I have a motion.
Thank you, Matt.
The motion is to adopt the consent agenda and to just make clear that we are adopting the substitute revised memorandum of understanding that was at your desks when you arrived.
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Kathleen. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Yep, thank you. That passes. And next, we're on to item number 6, the regular agenda. 6A is Orange County Land Use Plan Coordination. We have multiple people on the memo, but it looks like Assistant Manager Matt Eifert stepping up first to guide us through this conversation, maybe supported by other staff who might be.
Brian's here if there's technical questions. I am not planning to go through this presentation. You all have seen this material. This is the material that is what has been provided to the Board of County Commissioners for their discussion tomorrow evening. The purpose of this is to just ensure that we're in alignment before we go and talk to the board. As was shared in your packet, they are going through their land use plan update. As part of that, they're holding a series of workshops for the Board of County Commissioners to address specific questions to their staff. And some of those questions came to us to provide additional information. So this is the presentation that you all saw last year, the same one we did at the joint meeting back in the spring, with a couple of additions that put a finer point beyond utility capacity on the town's philosophy when it comes to managing our growth. So this slide was added with essentially the point being, as we talk about managing growth in and around Hillsborough, in addition to our own growth, we want the county to be cognizant that impacts the decisions they make in the areas around town limits on the town's infrastructure. So this is a slide specific to traffic, particularly traffic north of US 70. That is where there have been a lot of discussions about conservation neighborhoods, which are dense neighborhoods that exist in compact areas that preserve large pieces of land, which is in keeping with our goals and the county's. However, that does put a lot more cars into town without any ability to address the impacts from a traffic standpoint. So this slide was added to reinforce that point. This is information we shared with y'all last year, how we are talking about this with developers in terms of our utility capacity, how we are engaging in conversations about cost sharing in order to make the utility upgrades necessary to increase capacity. This is a slide that was added to reinforce that this is, partially a policy decision driven on the desire of the board and the community to redirect sprawl back into infill redevelopment in town, but is also driven by cost. Our utility system is operating on a thin margin. We have a significant need for CIP in the next few years. And that's not including upgrading plants. And so while the idea may be that, oh, we're gonna get more customers and that'll increase revenue to the system. Well, that may not work in our favor because adding those additional customers will increase the amount of capital needs the system has. So these are slides that you all have seen before in terms of water and sewer operations growth versus population growth. So we've had fairly flat staffing over the last 20 years while our service population has increased significantly. And then in the bottom right, that's a chart that shows our from our financial presentation last year, how even with program rate increases, the cost of operating is increasing faster than our revenues. And so the idea of adding significantly more capital to the system is really unsustainable at this point. And so the last point, just in keeping with the board's adopted priorities as expressed in the comprehensive sustainability plan, the character in and around the town, outside of the town limits, should remain in its current state. Agricultural or large lot subdivisions that can be served with well and septic. Density and large development projects should be channeled back into the municipalities. That's been the principle of planning in Orange County for many years and is consistent with our plans. If there are expansions out into the rural areas, they should be concentrated at commercial nodes that can be served by existing water and sewer providers. One detail that is pointed out in a different slide that we have not talked about in detail is the Falls Lake rules. So we're not going to talk about the science of it tomorrow when we meet with the county, but there's two salient points we want to make sure that are made. One, the Falls Lake nutrient limits are as big or bigger of a system constraint on us than hydraulic capacity. So we don't want to lose sight of the nutrient limitations being a driver in our capacity limitations. And second, the county makes multiple references in their draft plans to package plants or other community-owned point generators of nutrients discharge. And the town's position is we will be opposed to any additional point discharges in the Upper Neuse River Basin because that crowds out our ability to use our fully allotted nutrients. So if I didn't butcher that science too much, Brian, that's what we have to share, and we'll welcome feedback as we prepare for tomorrow.
Thank you, Matt. We go around the table real quick. Kathleen, initial thoughts on what the county is contemplating and what our response is or should be?
Well, I have to say that I was a little astounded that the county was what I felt was ignoring to a certain extent concerns of ours and what we have stated for a very long time. One of the things that I don't understand, I understand in big picture, but I don't really understand. So if that makes sense conceptually, because I saw that the county was entertaining the possibility of private water sewer systems, which I find that to be very concerning. In big picture, I could see that wreaking havoc with Falls Lake rules and a variety of other things. Are there any other concerns how that would impact our ability to access water and to treat water aside from Falls Lake rules?
Yeah, so from a raw water standpoint, the Eno River is under voluntary use agreement right now, so it's not a state mandated agreement. It's basically a cooperative effort that was made between Resco Products, the mining firm, and then the town, and then with Lake Orange, the privately surrounded but county owned lake. So it's not, if it had to, it could be probably converted to a mandatory agreement through a process with the state. And that would restrict additional withdrawals from the Eno River. That said, I just don't think it's likely that they're gonna approve any withdrawals from the Eno River for any new treatment plants.
Well, and I think that the private system situation, because they just had something like this on their agenda recently. It was a subdivision out in Bingham Township, and the private system is that an HOA would not run the septic and well system. That would be contracted out to a private company that would ensure the integrity of the
Right.
solid septic system,
No,
but
I-
it wasn't a private utility. If they are a utility, but it's not in terms of like hooking up to to the Eno River and pulling out.
No, I don't mean for that, but I've seen where there's been private systems where they will drill their own wells
Mhm.
and create there, which can affect the aquifer. It actually can affect surface water also.
Yeah.
And given,
And the county's approved apparently quite a few of those already.
and that's, which I find very concerning. Our aquifer and our surface water is vulnerable. We're a weak state, relatively speaking, in terms of water, not as bad as the West, but we're a weak state for water capacity and water quality. So I find that very concerning.
Well, to your point, Kathleen, so a quick shout out if he's listening to Dr. Bob Rubin. He's a retired professor from NC State. He actually lives here in Hillsborough and is a national expert on groundwater and soil. He was with the Soil Science Department at NC State. And their general rule of thumb, he was actually on Orange County's Planning Commission about 20 years ago when they were discussing their initial plans. And he told the elected at the time that you need to assume that it takes about 100 years of rainfall for an aquifer to rise 1 foot.
Yep,
So just think about that when you talk about these big wells that are pulling water down eventually.
exactly.
You know, and it's, again, we, like to what Matt said earlier, we're not gonna get into the details of some of the stuff we want to talk about tomorrow, but eventually, maybe not in my career, maybe not in, 30 years, but eventually there's gonna be a parade of people looking for town connections because they're looking at $50,000 plus to redrill a well. So,
Well, I've been where it's actually happened a lot quicker. It took between 7 and 10 years for that water table to drop precipitously, not 1 foot, not 2 feet, but like 6 feet. That is a huge impact. All to say, I support what we're doing. I hope we do so forcefully and thoroughly because what I saw is very concerning. To me, it's just sprawl and it by a different name.
Thank you, Ken. Rob?
I feel confident in our strategy and our points that could have been made, in the presentation to the county and agree 100%, with it, that we need to, maintain control over a little bit of water that we have and focus our density on our municipal limits and shrink our water, basically, service boundary. So I don't have any concerns that have been similar to Kathleen. Hopefully, the county will hear the message and if they've heard many times and hopefully provide by our wishes.
Thank you, Rob. So I concur with those statements, and as I was reading through the 3 attachments that staff provided to us of minutes from county commissioner meetings, I paid very close attention to the goals they were stating that they wanted to achieve with growth around Hillsborough and in other areas in the county. And I see that some of their language seems to say that some of this would be with cooperation or kind of if the town would give the water, then that would make these low density rural residential neighborhoods viable. And clearly that thinking does not take into account anything that the town has said numerous times and forcefully about what our capacities are, what our limitations are, which staff are very well aware of. And I feel perfectly comfortable that you will be able to articulate that to the commissioners tomorrow night. One thing I would add to that, that I haven't heard and it's not explicitly laid out in our talking points, but in the September 9th, 2025 work session minutes, there's a chart and discussion about the growth of municipalities and the county. And on page,
Which date?
It's the third document, September the 9th, and pretty sure I wrote down a citation for this. It's a chart that lists the 2010 and 2020 and the growth percentage of the municipalities and the county going forward. And what we see is that the county total growth is 11%, Harborough's 9% from 2010 to 2020. Chapel Hill's 8%, Hillsboro's 59%. And I think the point that I would like, Matt, for the county to understand is that we have steadfastly sought to have smart growth principles for a number of really good reasons that are in our award-winning comprehensive sustainability plan. And the high rate of growth for Hillsborough is a sign that that smart growth works. So we're growing, and I want the county commissioners to understand that that growth that we have is stretching our capacity to the limit. And additional growth pressures from outside of town limits are not factored into our smart growth plans. So there's a conflict between what our plans are and what the county's plans are around the town. We're clearly not in a position to offer more water or sewer capacity for things outside of the town. And if we did, they would be annexed into the town. Full stop. So I just want to make sure that the growth that we're experiencing is part of that, the conversation. And when I look at on page 22 of that same document, there is a draft future land use. And as you said earlier, the high growth of they call it a rural activity node is north of town. That's just the one thing that we've said 400 or 500 times. That's not the place for it, and here are the reasons why. So I would like for that point to be underscored.
Yes, sir, we can reiterate this.
Thank you. That's all I have. And Megan, and you are an UNRPA designee, so very curious about what if they're looped into this land use conversation as well.
Well, I know, Commissioner Marilyn Carter is also on the I'm sorry, I can't get the time out sometimes. The Upper News River Basin Association. So she is definitely knows the challenges there also. So I think this has been stated already by you all is, just the concern that two of the building blocks, as they call them, really rely on our utilities to make them happen. The low density one, even encouraging us in the next 10 years to make connections or annex these areas when some of them are not contiguous at all. It's just really surprising how much work they put into this and not paying attention to what Hillsborough has said about our water. It's, that's just really concerning for me. I think by what you've shown for the presentation for tomorrow, I think that hopefully they'll take that and really think about that. And I know you had some information in there about the Upper News information too. So that I think you've got everything covered, and I think you make a good point, Mayor Bell, about adding the population growth too. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Matt.
I had to write down, I'm recreating my notes because I left them in my car at the Burwell School to walk over because I knew there would be a lot of people in our parking lot. So I guess where I will start off is I really feel disappointed about the county's lackluster outreach to elected officials at the municipal level. I'll start there because if they had done this, then there wouldn't be this game of telephone of maybe interpreting our intentions differently than how we have very clearly put them out there. And now it's a staff to the county commissioners when if we had done this a lot sooner, maybe it would have been reflected in what they've been discussing. But that the only real outreach we've had is a questionnaire that only got sent out because Commissioner Green said, hey, you should reach out to the local elected officials and get their input. The observations I see really, and it's not really about the capacity of the utility system, because I don't think that's always going to be an issue. Hopefully in 30, 40, 50 years, it's not an issue. But I do see the big issues being three other things, which is our own comprehensive sustainability plan, our own unwillingness to extend the water and sewer any further without any sort of annexation, which has already been mentioned. And tacking on, the third is tacking on to what Mayor Bell said about the success in the way that we've grown. But I think it's also that by what the future land use plan could possibly end up proposing, I think is antithetical to principles of affordable home ownership, particularly when you think about being close to grocery stores, to other things, and just further outside city center doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The ongoing maintenance of any possible private well and septic systems, and then also transit. You know, these are not places that have bus stops. They're not places that people load up with a park and ride and go into town or go to Durham, Burlington, or whatnot. So it really feels as though it's really out of sync with the planning that the county is doing on the transit side, on trying to do affordable housing, and that sort of thing. And almost would have to necessitate HOAs, which I personally abhor. I do have 3 questions for you. Do you know when the county plans to wrap up this discussion of the future land use plan, or is it still in flux?
Still in flux. They have a number of currently scheduled workshops, including a couple of half-day retreats in November. And so I think the target is in the spring to have an updated draft based on the feedback that's being collected now. I do think there's still a ways out.
And I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna ask, is there any sort of sign off or action or endorsement needed from the various town councils, or?
Not for the land use plan. The cooperative impact would be if the plan makes recommendations to update some of the joint planning agreements. And that's mentioned several times in the document, as many of these agreements are decades old. There's a desire to revisit and refresh. And that's really where the board has leverage to negotiate, is if the county wants to make changes to those agreements. They're not unilateral agreements. This board will have to come to a consensus.
And how many of those agreements are we party to?
Several. The water and sewer Wasamba. There is a central orange coordinator area, COCA, and then some joint planning agreements that are countywide.
And will we need to make any changes? These are questions that I wish if we had county staff giving a presentation, I'd be asking them instead. But will we need to make any updates to our own future land use plans? Depending on what they approve ultimately, even aside from the JPAs?
Not necessarily. I will say that our CSD also is recommending changes to those agreements as well. And so we both parties have an interest in coming together to renegotiate some of those.
Cool. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Matt. Evelyn, do you have any questions for Matt about their meeting tomorrow with the county commissioners?
No, I really don't. Does this take into consideration the land between Chapel Hill and Hillsborough that we met for years and years how they were not gonna meet?
Yes, there are some some aspects of the rural buffer and the water and sewer boundary agreement that are being discussed as part of the county's land use plan.
2 or 3 years on working on that. And one, I think it was Anderson, I can't remember her name, was adamant that once these things were set out, they would never change. And Jeff Gladhill was living, and he said that's not exactly true. Things can change, like that. And she said, well, he said a new board could change any of this.
Yes.
And that's what I remember that they did, but I like the thing about, oh, where is it? The last two, the bullets. No, and the first, I like all three of those bullets.
Thank you.
I don't know if that helps,
Yes, ma'am.
but I know at that point, we're really against but that was basically to keep Chapel Hill from ever coming into Hillsborough and Hillsborough coming into Chapel Hill, I think. But you could only do certain things.
Right.
And you know all of that.
Yes, ma'am. We'll make sure that it's understood.
Thank you, Evelyn. Kathleen, you have another question?
I do, because I know that they, in the presentation, they do reference the 2013 land use plan, but it shows the old map before we pulled in our boundaries. So, I mean, I'm a little concerned that what the county is using is not our latest and greatest. Is there a way that we can make sure that in addition to reinforcing our comprehensive sustainability plan and our principles of density infill, that they are sharing information that's current? Because I feel like some of these things, it's a little bit misleading because the visuals themselves show where we have, it shows that our boundaries are further out than we've done some pulling in. That my understanding, if memory serves, it did impact or amend the joint land use plan.
So the board has not taken official action yet to
Okay.
make those amendments to the
Oh.
future land use map and the urban service boundary. We have some ordinances in the works that will be coming to you all over the next few months to make those actions official. We're in regular communication with the county's planning staff.
Okay.
They're aware, but we can reiterate, with our visuals tomorrow, our desire to bring in those urban service boundaries.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, did you get what you needed?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And good luck with the meeting tomorrow.
Do you need support from the board with that meeting?
You all are welcome to attend. They did not say they needed more input other than the answers that were given.
Do you feel you need us or not? I don't want to add more to your plate or anything. It's just, if you need us, tell us.
I
If you
think we'll
don't,
be
no
okay.
worries.
You're always welcome to join. We'll be okay.
Next on the agenda, hot topics. Only one thing listed there, update on the comprehensive sustainability plan. Which is a timely topic, given our recent discussion.
So this will be a progress report similar to what you all have seen with the strategic plan. So we'll go through the many elements of the plan, where we've made progress, where we're behind, and this will set up for a conversation, I think, next month on strategic plan.
Great, thank you. Any other suggestions or needs for work session?
I do have a question. When will we get our next strategic plan update?
The November workshop is when it's planned, so there are several delays due to Chantal. We were planning on doing it several months in advance, and in addition to, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, yes.
Also, we have the mediation in Corbin and Commons next Tuesday. So we may have an update for you on the 27th. I'm gonna expect that we will.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to updates. And for board members, here are the meetings that I know that from our committee assignments that have happened since our last meeting. Megan, you had a tourism board meeting? Or not?
Yeah. No, we didn't. It was canceled. Like the last meeting.
Matt, Orange Care Coalition?
No, I was out of town and could not attend.
Rob, Orange County Intergovernmental Parks Work Group.
Yeah, they canceled that at like, this meeting was supposed to be 5:30, I think like 5:15, about 5, they sent out basically, needing to cancel that, or they only had 4 electives. That had said that they could attend, and so they canceled it due to or invite or sponsor.
Okay, thank you. Kathleen, Orange County Local Government Affordable Housing Collaborative.
We haven't met since I last shared what we've done.
Okay. Evelyn, did you have any fire department meetings?
And one, but I had a continuing education program that was more important to me. I'm sorry to say.
Okay. Okay, and the last one I have is for myself, went to the Triangle West Transportation Planning Organization. We had several items that we acted on. We held a public hearing on the 2025 Metropolitan Plan Preferred Option. We released a draft UPWP for public comment. We approved the P8 candidate project list for submittal to NCDOT's prioritization process, and we had a closed session afterwards to talk about the executive director review to Dale. That's it.
I have more.
Okay, Kathleen, floor is yours.
So first, in the upcoming, Central Pines, what we do is prior to our meeting, we have a topic of relevance. So coming up, they've asked for our input for Chantal. So Eric, can I steal some of your write-ups?
Steal away.
Share, will be, and hopefully my counterparts in Orange County on recovery and resilience, as well as just talking about the impact. Also on the NARC conference, which is the National Association of Regional Councils, that is also the only national organization where NPOs are represented, because everywhere in the country, NPOs are for councils of government. We are an anomaly. So a lot of focus was both on housing as well as the authorization of PL grant, PL funding. So that's been signed off on by NATO, AMPO, NARC, NACO, NLC. So essentially everybody across the board. And the whole focus, the request is pushing funding down to the COGS on NPOs. Where funding is, it's more representative. But number one, get that funding reauthorized, more local control. There was also continuation of housing, because housing transportation cannot be separated. As part of our tours, we got to see the working waterfront, and it was fascinating. So they're doing, this was in Maine. There are ferries to the islands, and so they've got a hybrid ferry, and the power battery, I've forgotten what the amount of the energy, it was like this humongous amount when you think about a ferry. In less than 10 minutes, it charges up that entire ferry that can run 3 or 4 runs. It's impressive. I've got a picture of it. The other thing we saw that was impressive was just how they are utilizing nature-based solutions. In Maine, they already have 14 to 20 foot tides naturally, but they're seeing water with sea rises where it's a foot or 2, where 20 years ago there was no water. So that there's where the cruise ships are coming in, there's a big parking lot. They are turning that into a park. So that not only is it give green space, because they have a policy where every neighborhood is within 10 minutes of walking to a park. But when the overwash comes, it absorbs and takes the brunt of the sea before it gets to you know, the businesses and the residences. One of the programs that they have that when we have budget again, I would love us to see is they do micro grants to their neighborhoods. They're $500. And with those $500, neighborhoods, they talked about one put in an extra composting. Another neighborhood, you know, did something more with just the community gatherings, but these micro grants, they do this every year. Pretty simple. You have to have it in this, you know, it's a recognized neighborhood. So when you're dispersed, there's an entity to disperse to. I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of discussions, too, because in Maine, it's a home rule state, so in the past, these conferences have really focused on, opportunities and limitations of Dillon's rule state. This time it was taking a look at home rule and citizen participation, that sort of thing. The other thing there was a focus on, and we are seeing this more and more, is civility. And I would like to take an opportunity that the league does have a formal civility program, and while our community and our board are strong adherents of civility, I think it would be a good public stance to actually engage and do that program. We do where that involves. I've forgotten what the sessions are, but it's also each of us signing the pledge. Last year during City Vision, 6 communities, their boards were recognized. I would love to see us. I was hearing from communities where there are boards that refuse to agree to civility. I cannot imagine how on earth you could possibly conduct the public's business when you have board members that upfront say, no, I refuse to be civil. It was absolutely flooring, and the you know, the COG and NPO directors dealing with that, it was just, it's not enough money for them to do that. So with that, I came back once again, very grateful for our board and grateful for our community. I've already shared with Eric again, so grateful for his leadership and just how skilled he is, and our staff. Just we have an amazing community. We have an amazing staff. How we work as a board. You know, the things that people were interested in our board were the fact that we can have a split vote. And that after that vote, we really do try to make the policies we vote work, whether we voted for it or not. And the fact that we really do go out and have a beer afterwards. I am extremely grateful for that. And I was reminded even more so after hearing some pretty scary war stories. And our next meeting will be in February, where we will be on the Hill, and that will be at Missy. So that's that for right now. I see Matt.
Good.
For right now,
Okay.
Oh, one other thing, I'm sorry. Thank you for it. My pink is it did not come back from the dry cleaners, so Matt, thank you. Because the entire month of October is raising money. And that money is used for all cancer research and support of survivors. I know that there are downtown businesses that are trying to do it one day. If we only do one day, we are losing 29 days worth of fundraising. And this is the time where these organizations get over 85% of their funding for research. So if y'all are listening to me for our businesses, our business community, we need support all month long, because again, with the implosion of the feds, we need us to bid, and the badges are in, Chief, so I'm expecting to see us in pink. So Carrie, Roxborough, the city of Raleigh paid for our badges, by the way. Yes, they did.
Do I just need to get with you?
Yeah, get with me. They haven't sent it to me. But anyhow, they're here. I'll get them to you. But anyhow, so all around, we're the only town that is not participating the way our other towns are across the state. So, first of all, thank you, but you will see the Raleigh cars are pink, Cary Park cars are pink, Roxborough cars are pink. All across, you will be seeing pink. So next year, I'm hoping that we join the rest of and be as pink as everything. So now I'm done.
Matt, did you have a question?
Yeah, not a question, just an update since I was not at the work session, last month, or, yeah, it was September. Just about the Visitors Bureau, so I will say in the news, this is something we've been talking about for, a few months of our meetings, but, because of the Visitors Bureau, we were able to secure the Savannah Bananas, for Keenan Stadium, April 11th and 12th, the lottery closes
I've already signed up.
on Halloween, I believe, or the day before.
It's Halloween.
And just a big shout out to Lori Policelli and her staff for getting us through what actually was a competitive bidding process. I think it came down to us and Clemson. And they have a much bigger football stadium. And it also cost some money and upfront to do that. So family friendly, should definitely benefit us in terms of the fact that we do get a share of sales tax revenue, regardless of where it will be or where that dollar is spent. And when they did Charlotte earlier this year, they sold out Bank of America Stadium 2 nights in a row. I think only Beyonce has been able to do that at Panther Stadium 2 nights in a row for obvious reasons. And then we will also be doing some strategic visioning for what we want to see in terms of tourism in Orange County over the next 3 to 4 years. I think that will also impact how we budget, what we choose to spend funds on, the occupancy tax mainly. And then it's been a while since the Visitors Bureau has had a treasurer, and somehow I lucked up and became the treasurer. So looking forward to working with our staff at the Visitors Bureau, hopefully to make those strategic monetary investments. Of course, everything's subject to county approval and the Board of Commissioners, but I think that one of the things that really came out of this most recent budget session was needing to be able to clearly articulate vision for tourism in Orange County and the impact the Visitors Bureau has on attracting folks to Orange County. And with a huge decrease in occupancy tax, likely due to a slowing economy and the beds cutting budget significantly, we're way down in terms of room nights that have been purchased so far this fiscal year.
Thank you, Matt. Rob, personal updates.
I got a couple. One, I was reminded by the town clerk that we need to communicate to the board that Kathleen and Megan and I are attending the school government affordable housing seminar Thursday, and that the amount is under $500, but we need to report that to the board in official meeting. And then also Megan and I, participated in the 2025 Leadership Chapel Hill Carver from the chamber there. So we completed our 6th session last week, and we're more than halfway through. So last week's was the university and healthcare system. So we spent the start out at Moorhead and campus tour, went to Keenan, athletics tour, mostly Keenan, and then over to the hospitals. So
You have a graduation date yet?
graduation January 15, I think.
I have a great date, but
Normally they've done it with the state of the community.
Yeah, they started doing that like last year.
Is that okay?
I guess it's
Time
for too long.
Well, let us know and we'll come.
I just have 2 quick things. Attended the quarterly NCDOT Orange County Transportation meeting where we share transportation status and projects. And then also I attended the Town Employee Appreciation Picnic. I did not participate in the cornhole tournament, so should have, that looked like fun. It was a good time. That's it. Thank you.
Well, didn't have any meetings, but was busy in Hillsborough over the last 2 weeks. So Flush Fest happened, and that was a great event. 2 nights of music and dancing and anything else you can think of. Also, the Hillsborough Running Club put on their 5K and half marathon. It was a great event as usual. Wonderful weather and huge shout out though to everybody getting the course completed and ready. Like the 5K course, I will say it was perfect conditions. So and then also the police summit, thank you Chief Quinn for putting that on for us. They had a good turnout and hopefully a lot of good information for folks to mull over. Also, the Eno Farmers Market had their Taste of the Market dinner last night. They had a pivot. It was a little bit of rain, but it was a great turnout and really helps a lot of people there by being able to double their WIC and SNAP benefits when they go to the market. So great event. And then also outside Hillsborough Plant Fest happened, and that was also another nice event for the weekend, but it was busy in Hillsborough. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The only additional thing I will add is that I also attended the police summit last week, so very well attended. I think that was a good dialogue. I think there were good points that were raised that I think could really be distilled in frequently asked questions and clarifying about specifically the flock cameras, but I do think that folks really came out eager to also know what the police department's up to and how it's serving the community. And I think it was well received. So
Thank you, Matt. Evelyn, do you have any updates to share? Thank you, Matt.
I'm gonna pull a Kathleen. There was one thing I forgot, which was how cool it was, on a personal trip to the United Kingdom when I was not at our September work session to tour the original Hillsborough. That was really cool in Northern Ireland. It's just a 15-minute car ride south of Belfast. Riding through, it looks like the Piedmont of North Carolina. I understand why so many Scots-Irish immigrated and settled in this area. But also was able to connect with a city council member who represents Royal Hillsborough, which is a distinction. The prefix was a distinction granted by the Queen in 2022. And comparing our government, he was amazed that our mayor is directly elected and not just one of us, that we have nonpartisan elections. I was amazed that they receive tens of millions of dollars from their national government when we have been having ours taken away. But that there were some issues that were truly transatlantic, housing, utilities, growth, and some friction between longtime residents and folks who are just moving in. But the town's about the same size as our Hillsborough. And it is also about the same age as our Hillsborough. And coincidentally, they also have a courthouse downtown. Looks mightily suspiciously similar to our own clock on our courthouse. Probably the same manufacturer in London. But it was really great to be able to take a tour and just have some good dialogue and some good history. And one of the folks who gave me a tour, he said, "Yeah, I've been to Chapel Hill in the spring during, what's that thing that you call?" I said, "March Madness." He's like, "Yes, I love March Madness." But coincidentally was for some reason in Chapel Hill at the Southern Historical Collection, doing research, and just said our area is what he thinks of when he thinks of America, small but growing, educated, with a great university system and everything in the backyard. So that was a pretty cool day, to be honest with you.
Thank you for sharing. I too forgot one thing, and that is a reminder that the second Monday in October is Indigenous Peoples Day. And 10 years ago, the board adopted a perpetual resolution. So we didn't pass it again this year. It's kind of a standing resolution recognizing Indigenous People Day, and especially our Indigenous people here at Ocmulgee Band. So that is available online for everyone to view. And that's it for me, for us. Town manager, anything else? Nope. Okay, written reports, item C. And if there's no more business for the board, we will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So-
to discuss two items. Thank you,
Second.
Kathleen. Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll take a few minutes to kind of intercession as we get ready for the closed session.